This is our the 101.5 FM 10 days to the 10th Urban Country Music Festival countdown. We've had some fantastic people on from different genres too of the urban country thing that's going around. We had Lee Kernaghan, Kaylee Bell, Round Mountain Girls, and also Jess Holland. And these guys are all going to be performing at Urban, and I thought, well, we need to get a little bit of a storyteller on, and who better than Graham Rodger. Good morning, Graham.
Good morning, Tracy. How are you?
Oh, look, I'm fantastic because the sun is still shining. The rain's keeping away from us at the moment.
Yeah, well, let's hope it stays away for a little bit longer.
We've had a couple of wet Urbans, but not like Gympie, so we can't really complain too much, can we?
No, I was at that Gympie, the wet one. That was shocking.
That's nearly every year, I tell you what.
Well, that's right. Yeah, I should have said which year because it always seems to rain. But
yeah, I remember going to the very first one when that was the Webb Brothers, and it was just an absolute quagmire. But I tell you what, it's the best fun, isn't it?
Oh, heck yeah. It's great, yeah. It was.
Well, it's not going to rain this Urban Country Music Festival. As I said, you're no stranger to the festival. And I tell you, we've lined up with some fantastic people this year. You're going to be over there at the Village Stage on the Saturday between 11 and 1 p.m. with the Bush Balladeers, and because you'll be joined with Paul Seals and Trevor Tolton.
That's right, yep.
And then on the Sunday, you're going to be doing the Urban Breakfast. I love this one because you don't have to get up and cook the next morning. Head on over there, and I tell you what, they've got the poets and the Bush Balladeers over there, so you get a bit of a laugh and the storytelling at the same time. What do you prefer? Do you prefer mixing it up with a bit of bush poetry as well as your balladeering, or tell us?
I think it always works well. It always works well. The problem is sometimes you do a late night being being a singer, and the bush poets are virtually relegated to the early morning shows. So you might get to bed about 12 or 1, and you're up at 7 o'clock next morning with the bush poets. But it does work well, Tracy. I mean, we're all on the same wavelength. A lot of songs that I've recorded have been poems, bush poems to start with, you know. So it works in well, the two of us together.
And I suppose you're very right there, because a lot of in bush balladeering, that's where you really do tell the stories. And I suppose when you do write a poem, you can tell those stories through song as well.
Exactly, yeah. Sometimes you just need to trim up the length because poems usually are a lot longer than sort of song form, but that's easy enough done to shorten it down without losing the crux of what you're sort of trying to say.
Now, Graham, you do a lot of travelling and a lot of shows around the place, a lot of festivals and that. What keeps you coming back to the Urban Country Music Festival?
Well, one thing we like about it, it's close to home. But it is a great festival. No, I didn't mean just that. It is a really nice festival to work at. It's a great atmosphere there. And out there at the historical centre out there north of Caboolture, it's just a great atmosphere in there because country music is, a lot of it's about our history and heritage. And we're in there amongst all this old stuff, and it just sort of blends in so nicely.
And I think it does, because a lot of people think, we have to pay, which normally you do have to pay to get into the historical village and have a look over the years what's happened in our area and that. But the whole thing is totally free to get in over the weekend. So we're really bringing the community together. And I think, as you said, we've got so many different genres of country music going through, from traditional to country rock to, middle of the road. It's just such a huge thing. But you can get a taste of any bit of country. So there's no person out there that can't get something out of this festival.
You've hit it right on the head. Yep, you've hit it on the head. We're in the traditional section, of course, but you've got it all out there. It's wonderful. Country is on a broad front these days. From the traditional right through to country rock. It covers a pretty wide field.
You're not wrong, and because there's a little bit of country pop that's trying to sneak in there, but I tell you what, we've been talking about this quite often over the last couple of months, since the country pop scene, like we're talking people like Taylor Swift, even Keith Urban himself, they're bringing out albums now where half of it's getting played on a country channel and the other half is actually making it into #1 positions in the pop scene, and it's getting a little bit confusing, but the young ones seem to be doing a lot more of the bush balladeering now and bringing a bit back more of that traditional, where they're not bringing the electric guitars out. They're all playing the acoustic stuff. Even the acoustic basses are coming back.
Yeah, and that's great to see it. It really is. It's good to see the young ones coming through, especially in the traditional scene. And the audiences in the traditional country music, like the Bush Ballads, are on the increase. The festivals are getting more people each year, like Nanango, for instance. That's a wonderful festival of traditional music. And the audiences are increasing, and there's a massive following around the country. And these people, these fans or supporters, as we call them, will travel a long way. There are a lot of them are grey nomads, and they travel with the van. A lot of them go from one festival to the other because they sort of just carry on from one will finish and there's another one on the following weekend, so you can basically spend the whole year going to festivals. But Caboolture is great because we're not getting the normal country music fans that we get at the festivals. We're getting people from the town, all ages, young ones, middle-aged. You've got a different audience, and it's great to reach out to a different audience.
And that's exactly right. And I tell you what, we're just talking about like the acoustic bass is coming back. I can't believe how many young kids today are playing the kickbox.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. You don't need the full set. Mind you, a full set is good in its own area, when you're doing the big stages and that. But if you're just sitting up on a veranda somewhere, and there's nothing wrong with a good old kickbox there. Ask John Williamson.
Yeah, well, that's right. It works well for him.
Yeah, and he does it on the big stage, so it's all go there. Now, Graham, Changing Years, the new album, come across my desk the other day. Very impressive. Well done.
Thank you. Yes, it's our 12th album. We're really proud of it. We're very happy. We certainly believe this is our best album to date. And we've kept it we haven't overdone it musically. We've kept it fairly sort of simple and concentrated on the stories and the vocals, and I think that sort of came out in the final product.
There's some fantastic... And, of course, yesterday we had to give Anzac on the Wall a bit of a go.
Right.
Absolutely beautiful. We thank you very much for that track as well.
It's an absolute pleasure, yeah. We just sort of put the album out at the right time. We weren't sort of thinking about the Anzac song on the album when we sort of released the CD, but it sort of, it fitted in well with Anzac Day anyway.
Well, I have two favourites on it, the Bushranger and His Lady. I just love that one there.
Oh, that's lovely.
And Old Blue is a bit of a special one for me as well. So those two, I'm putting them up pretty high, but I want to hear more about Changing Years. What was the inspiration behind that song? Why do we put this one on the album? Because I know when you guys write songs, you've got 13 on this album. This is track number 3 and the name of the album. Why did you choose that one probably out of probably 50 songs you've got sitting there?
Yeah, well, it pretty well encompasses what the album's about. And if you look at it, like you said, Bushranger and His Lady, we've got a song there called The Gan. The song Changing Years sort of sums up the changing years of like from the Bushranger right through to the modern day of the Truckies and that with the final song, and the new Gan, the train. So it's the changing years of our heritage and our history through from the early days to now. But the song came about, Tracy, a couple of years ago, actually. We were filming a young chap out at Blackwell, which, Blackwell's in central Queensland. We were out in what they call the wool scour, which was where they used to clean the wool and before they transported it out. Anyway, we had this young fellow there. We had a song called The Old Cooper's Notebook on a previous album, and we wanted his photograph in there with an old fellow by the name of Beaver who takes the tours around the wool scour. And anyway, we were photographing him and his younger brother, who was about 4 years of age. He wouldn't have been any more than probably 4, maybe 5, if you're lucky. He had a 10-gallon hat on, which sat over his head like a roof. He had his little R.M. William boots on and his jeans and his check shirt, and he's out the side there with his leg on the bottom rail and his arm on the top rail and his hat cocked back on his head like an old man. He's chatting away to old Beaver, pointing out to the yards, which were all disused, from the early days. And I looked at him, so we got a photograph of him, and I looked at him and I thought, there's a song in this young fella, talking to maybe his granddad or his great-grandfather about the early days. So I modelled it around him. I made the chap in the song a little bit older, of course. But that was where it started. That was the inspiration, just looking at this little fellow who was only about 4 years of age, but he looked all of about 80 there yarning over the rail,
It's very, very cute. You should actually put the photo up on your website or something so we can have a look at him now.
Yes.
And talking about changing years, we're about to change somebody's day, make them very, very happy because... thank you very much. We're able to give away a family pass today, thanks to Graham Rodger. Thank you. But it's not only just a family pass to the main stage. We're doubling this one up because, as you said, Graham, the whole thing is about getting the community together and the families together. So we're going to give this double pass away, and it's for the rodeo on the Friday night, and then they can still get to go to the main concert on the Saturday. But we do have to ask a question. We can't just give these away for nothing, can we?
No, there's got to be a bit of incentive there. They've got to be asked a question,
Well,
something hard.
Something hard. Well, how about, we're going to play track 3 off your new album, and now the track's called Changing Years, and it's off the new album called Graham Rodger, Changing Years. So what we want to find out from our listeners, you can give us a call, 07549511015, if you can be the first caller to call us and tell us what the name of Graham Rodger's new album is, Bingo, you've just won the tickets. What do you think about that, Graham?
Excellent. That's right. That's wonderful, Tracy.
No worries. And we're going to catch up with you on Saturday here in Caboolture at the Urban Country Music Festival. Thanks very much for your time today, Graham.
Absolute pleasure. Look forward to it.